Hello, today I will be presenting about controversies of trade policy.
The three main controversies in trade policy are technology and externalities, globalization and environment together with globalization and culture, and trade and labor.
The problem of appropriability can be described with relation with technology. Firms that invest in new technology create knowledge that other firms can use without paying for it. The ways through which they do that are, by investing in new technology, firms are creating an extra benefit for society that is easily used by others. An appropriability problem is an example of an externality which benefits or costs that accrues to parties other than the one that generates it. An externality implies that the marginal social benefit of investment is not represented by producers' surplus. In terms of the environment, environmental standards developing countries compared to rich ones are lax. For example, due to existing limitations as a result of environmental policies in the United States, industries may decide to move and operate in Bangladesh, since there are no environmental policies there, and they don't face limitations, and basically this is the reason why some people have opposed free trade because of environmental implications. However, we cannot conclude that trade hurts the environment, since in the absence of trade, government policies have degraded the environment. Some activists believe that trade destroys even culture in other countries by considering that any economic change leads to changes in everyday life. This belief neglects the principle that we should allow people to define their culture through the choices that they make, not through standards set by others. An increase in manufactured exports from developing countries has been a major change in the world economy. Compared to rich countries, workers who produce these goods are paid low wages and work under poor conditions. Therefore, some have opposed free trade because of the so-called exploitation, which is an action of treating someone unfairly in order to benefit from wages in those factories were in some cases below $5 per day, and conditions were weak compared to U.S. standards. Opponents of the free trade agreement argue that by making it easier for employers to replace high-wage workers in the United States with lower-paid workers in Mexico, the agreement had hurt labor on both sides of the border. Let's take two countries, the U.S. and Mexico, and two industries where the labor is the only factor of production. U.S. labor is more productive than Mexican labor. It takes only 1 hour of US to produce a unit of output, while it takes 2 hours of Mexico to produce a unit of low-tech output. The upper part shows the real wages of workers in each country in absence of trade. The real wage in each case is the quantity of each good that a worker could produce in 1 hour. Suppose that trade is opened. In the equilibrium after trade, the relative wage rates of US and Mexican workers would be somewhere between the relative productivity of workers. Thus it would be cheaper to produce low-tech goods in Mexico and high-tech goods in the US. In low-tech industries, highly paid jobs in the US are replaced with lower-paid jobs in Mexico. In this example, the purchasing power of wages has actually increased in both countries. US workers, who are employed in high-tech, can purchase more low-tech goods than before, 2 units per hour of work versus 1. Mexican workers, who are now employed in low-tech, find that they can purchase more high-tech goods with an hour's labor than before. Because of trade, Ricardian model predicts that even though wages in Mexico should remain lower than in the US because of low productivity, they will rise relative to their pre-trade level. Hexarollin model predicts that unskilled workers in the US will lose, but those in Mexico will gain. However, despite the low wages in Mexico, both theories predict that those workers are better off than they would be if trade had not taken place. Thank you for your attention.
Created using Powtoon.